When searching for the purpose of government, one should look no further than the preamble of the U.S. Constitution. This brief statement succinctly summarizes both the natural rights philosophy of popular sovereignty and the classical Republican idea of devotion to the common good by asserting that supreme power rests within the people in order to establish a more perfect union. Natural rights philosophers aimed at establishing justice to secure the blessings of liberty, while classical Republican philosophers promoted domestic tranquility and general welfare through common defense.
Classical Republicans and natural rights philosophers heavily influenced the founders' views on government. Thomas Jefferson, in his writing of the Declaration of Independence, changed the Lockean idea of property as being a natural right to the pursuit of happiness, a classical Republican thought more akin to what the Greeks would call eudaimonia, human flourishing and the gathering of enlightenment through experience. The Bill of Rights in Article 7 of the U.S. Constitution further exemplify Rousseau's theory of a social contract, in which people come together to establish a government enabled to protect their natural rights.
While natural rights philosophy perceive individuals as free and self-governing, classical Republican views follow the theory Aristotle proposed in his book Politics, that man is a political animal incapable of success on his own. Jefferson's promotion of classical republicanism in his Ward Republics acknowledged an active citizenry key to the success of government.
Natural rights theorists favored active citizenship through individual interests, a phenomenon in early American society that Alex de Tocqueville witnessed and acknowledged as enlightened self-interest. Although discussed by de Tocqueville, this idea was also embodied in Voltaire's letters concerning the English nation, which states, "It is love of self that encourages love of others. It is through our mutual needs that we are useful to the human race."
George Washington's farewell address exemplifies the connection between classical Republican and natural rights philosophies in promoting the unity of government for the success of the individual and their community. Both philosophies stress the need for active participation in the community and an understanding of the role of an individual through education and an emphasis on preparation for citizenship.
In natural rights philosophy, a strong education is necessary in order to empower the individual to secure their inalienable rights against any type of corrupt government or law. As John Locke stated, the only defense against the world is through knowledge of it. The Umbrella Revolution that occurred in Hong Kong, China, demonstrates the pertinence of a strong education. What began with a student-run activist group eventually led to thousands of protesters who viewed China's rejection of full democracy as an infringement on their right to reform their government.
Education is essential from the classical Republican point of view for instilling morals on the individuals of the society, in order that the selfish nature of man does not overcome the collective pursuit of the common good. Education also provided individuals with the means of developing their unique talents so that they may benefit the society later on in life. In the 1981 case, Flyler versus Doe, the Supreme Court ruled against the state statute that denied funding for education to the children of unauthorized immigrants, thus promoting the classical Republican ideal of allowing individuals to foster their own unique talents so that they may use them later to benefit society.
In Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail, he expressed the need for a balanced government to fit the needs of citizens by acknowledging that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This idea is supported by the preamble through its views on maintaining domestic tranquility and securing the blessings of liberty. Thank you.
What are some examples of, for students your age or seniors, of both classical Republican philosophy in school or in your own peer groups or culture, as well as classical, or as well as natural rights?
I think one really strong example of like present day students working in classical Republican philosophy would be the idea of active citizenship and active participation in your community. So if you're volunteering at the art museum, or if you're giving $1 to someone on the street who needs food, that's benefiting the common good and giving up something that you can in order for the benefit and overall well-being of the community.
John Locke once said, "Parents often wonder why the stream tastes bitter, but it is them who poison the fountain." This idea of John Locke, as well as many other philosophers, agreed on the idea that parents obviously had an influence on their children, and it was the right of the parents to influence the children to become more civic within society, so that they may act accordingly.
In our education system, the farther up you go, the more freedom you have with choosing classes. When you get to college, you're almost completely free when choosing your own schedule, which was the natural rights idea of you are an individual with, with rights within your own self to choose what you want to do and how you want to live your life. So you're able to choose what profession you want to go in, what you want to study in school, and stuff like that.
So what are some of the consequences of individualism, particularly in a nation like ours?
Well, too much individualism can kind of cloud the individual from the idea of working for the common good. You have people that, using the college example, perhaps are pursuing an education being a doctor or a lawyer or something that maybe benefits them more so than it does with other people. What it really comes down to is, because you can have lawyers that are, defending people, but you could also have lawyers that are defending people they maybe shouldn't be defending.
Why is making money an important civic virtue?
If you look at Adam Smith's idea of the invisible hand, being selfish sometimes helps the common good and promotes a overall stable economy. And so by promoting the growth of an economy, by pursuing your own individual interests, you are also helping the common good.
Going on of that of Julie's, making money can be seen as a civic virtue because it helps the community by spending money on working on roads, improving parks for the community, also making medicine in order to help benefit society and limit those in need.
Can you guys give me a specific example where being selfish, like you said, has helped the common good?
In the 17th century, Isaac Newton, who we all know is famous for inventing calculus and making significant contributions to the world of physics, although that was what he was famous for, that was more of a hobby. He was actually head of the British Mint and was very obsessant of his job. He made the largest deal in the world of his job so that he could get more promotions and make more money so that he could fund his own research, buying books, paper, and all the materials he needed to make the significant contributions he made.
Also in our current society, not necessarily being selfish, but TSA workers, for example, they work so that they can help their own families and make money, raise money for their own civic ideals. And in turn, they also help promote security when traveling so that they may limit certain tyrannical actions.
When do classical Republican philosophies and natural rights philosophies come in conflict today?
Can you repeat the question?
When do the philosophies of classical Republicanism and natural rights come in conflict today?
I think it's important in our society today that there's a very precarious balance of the two philosophies, and I think when either philosophy becomes too prominent in society, it becomes detrimental. If you have too much emphasis on the majority and the common good, you might be ignorant of minority needs, whereas if you focus too much on minority needs, you might not be benefiting the majority of the people.
Do you think that the idea of overstepping one side, so for example, Obama President Obama pushing for the immigration bill that's through executive action, do you think that's overstepping the balance between classical republicanism and individual rights?
I would have to argue that no. President Obama's executive order was enacted so that he could promote the common good, because he argued that there are certain individuals within our society that could benefit from our own nation, and in turn we could benefit from them, because there's students who are currently going to school and businessmen who also contribute to our social structure, who he feels would benefit our own society if they stayed.
Somebody else can answer if they need to. Okay. Brenna, go ahead, feedback.
Okay, so for your testimony, I thought it was good.